This video will be talking about the territorial disputes over Dokdo Island between Japan and South Korea.
Japan is looking to further solidify its false territorial claim over Korea's easternmost island of Dokdo by publishing the claim in teacher guidelines for elementary and middle school textbooks. The latest move comes as Seoul and Tokyo ties are becoming increasingly frayed over another issue. Kwon So-ah with the details.
The Japanese government is ramping up its campaign to falsely claim sovereignty over Korea's Dokdo Island through new education guidelines. The Japanese daily Yomiuri Shimbun reported Saturday that Tokyo's education ministry is expected to publish revised guidelines on elementary and middle school social studies textbooks.
This video will explain the silence of Korea's territorial claims over Dokdo Islands after the liberation from Japan and talk about other truths behind the Japanese territorial claims.
In 1945, the Allied powers made Japan return all invaded territories to their original countries under the Potsdam Declaration. After succumbing to the Allied powers, Japan was obliged to return all invaded territories except for 4 islands: Hokkaido, Honshu, Shikoku, and Kyushu, as well as islands whose fate was determined by the Allied forces. That included Dokdo. The Supreme Commander of the Allied Powers Instruction Number 677, which was concluded in 1946, said that Jeju-do, Ulleung-do, and Dokdo Islands, located around the Korean peninsula, were excluded from Japan's sovereignty and returned to Korea. After losing the war, Japan had to sign a post-war arrangement known as the San Francisco Peace Treaty with the Allied powers. The initial draft had to be drawn by the United States and approved by the Allied powers. Then, after Japan signed it, it had to be approved by the Allied powers again. After the initial draft was complete in March 1947, the content of the San Francisco Peace Treaty was modified several times. The modifications included stipulations on Dokdo. Until early December of 1949, Dokdo was in the San Francisco Peace Treaty without a doubt, under the name Liancourt Rocks. Negotiations over Dokdo's sovereignty were held 7 times due to the UK's opposition. During that process, Dokdo was excluded from the San Francisco Peace Treaty. Japan used this opportunity to claim sovereignty over Dokdo, but the issue of this island was omitted for the sole purpose of granting independence to Japan as soon as possible, and in no way supported its claim.
The United States and the Allied powers were significantly divided on the Dokdo issue, so they agreed to sign the treaty without assigning Dokdo to any country. Only the 6th draft assigned Dokdo to Japan, while all the ensuing drafts, up to the 19th draft, don't mention Dokdo, but Japan used the 6th draft, which assigned Dokdo to its territory, to claim that Dokdo was part of Japan. Such a claim based on a single draft, despite the other 5 drafts, that assigned Dokdo to Korea is very absurd. As mentioned before, Japan changed their educational guidelines about their claims to Dokdo Island, stating that the island was theirs to begin with. Also, Japan is using its power to change history and territorial claims in order to take the Dokdo Islands. This abuse of power distorts history and will create more conflicts with South Korea.